Hello, and welcome to Moving into Conscious Living, a series of conversations meant to inspire a deeper connection with self. I'm your host, Jen Whitbeck, and on today's episode, we have a very special guest, Amethyst. She is a guidance counselor, a life coach, a listener, a traditional psychic, and a professional fortune teller. It is my honor to welcome Amethyst with us today. Welcome.
Hi, nice meeting you.
Nice
It's
meeting
my
you.
pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So one question I like to ask all my speakers is, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your journey into consciousness and how that came about?
That would be great. Well, I started knowing myself since I was 7 years old. I got very interested with being a psychic or fortune telling or cards and understanding what's beyond the usual that we were being taught at school. When I witness every day that my father is doing this as a fortune teller as well. So that caught my curiosity, and then I started studying it by myself. So since he doesn't want me to learn, I did some self study. I gathered magazines, books, any recordings or radio show, TV shows that has about anything about understanding about conscious living. And what I liked about it is that I started to understand more of myself first as a child, and then gradually as a teenager. And I've also practiced it with some of my friends and relatives, and that's when I use it as well as a profession. Started from 19 years old and up until now. Um, Knowing yourself first is a lot easier, of course, than sharing it with other people. Is giving me more the best part of it, because what I have learned from astrology, psychology, because I'm also a psychology student, um, is that combining all of those informations that I've learned from it, and believing to know what I know is what I can share with all of you now. There's nothing wrong with anything. Everything for me is possible. There's no such thing as impossible. Everything for me now is very positive. Even the worst experiences, even when you're sad, for me is part of our existence, and there's no skip. You have to go through all of that, and go through sadness, go through pain, because without pain, without those tears, without having any burns or cuts or wounds, you wouldn't even understand happiness, the other side of the positive energy that we have. And even scientific explanations, I also share that with my customers, my clients, my friends, because I always believe in gathering those basic understanding from science, some from psychology, from quantum physics. I can make a firm evidence that everything has connections. We
Mhm.
don't need to fight. We don't need to argue, because actually it has correlations with each other, and all we have to do is listen and understand that we all have different perspectives. And once you listen, that's when you will feel the that peace within you. And I'm so I adore and I idolize those monks that they have this few years. It's really hard, the discipline that they have. And I tried for a few days not to eat anything, like fast, and with my spiritual journey. And that's also what I've noticed is that each and every one of us has different needs and wants. What I can share to someone is not something I can share to the other one. They have different stories and journeys, and I'm so happy that I have this algorithm in my head, that once I feel your energy, I know how what to give or how to share that with you. And I really believe that this is part of me, and this is why I was born. And I know every one of us has this purpose, and I'm happy that I'm going to give that to you now, share that with you.
That's beautiful. And it's very insightful that at such a young age you knew to really get in touch with and attune with yourself and your emotions, right?
Yes.
Because one of the things, at least over here in the States, you have most of us, especially growing up, we're not really told to get in tune with our emotions, right? Like if you're sad, you're just sad. Go in your room and cry, right?
Yes.
And I think it's something that we missed out on, right? And I'm hoping that future parents really tap into that your emotions are very important,
Very important.
understanding,
Yes.
right? Because the other thing is too, is I think that by being closed off to our emotions, we're not quite sure which emotion we're really feeling.
Exactly.
Right. I could
That's
call it
right.
anger, and instead it wasn't really anger. It was sadness because my feelings were hurt or something.
That's right. I also agree with you that. Also, I want to share is that maybe because of the culture we have here in the Philippines, that everyone can express their feelings, even children. Our parents, we were taught to speak our minds. Maybe the way how I was brought up, my father is very open-minded, because he's a fortune teller, so he's interacting with these different types of people, and uh, he actually tried to stop me. He doesn't want me to experience this because of he's a guy, and he has this Spaniard colonialism idea
Yeah.
that only a guy can do such a thing, where not women are not allowed to do something like this. But I proved him that I can also do the same thing that he's doing. That I've not better. He's actually my idol. I'm a fan of him. So I just wish that he could see me now. And what I remember is that when he was still alive, he promised me that even if he dies, he will still be that he will still be powerful enough to help me do what I want. And I
Yeah.
I believe in that. And
Yes.
even if you're wondering why I started realizing things when I was 7, I realized now that I'm already 37, that the reason why I started that at a very very young age is because I am a reincarnated soul.
Mhm.
Just few months ago, I've learned that most of my experiences when I was a child, I have memories of me being an adult and having dreams of things that I've been doing. And now that I'm doing this with other people, that's when I realized, wait a minute, I have so much of memories when I was a kid that I haven't done ever, that I never experienced. And now I realize it's something that I have been doing ever since. So I know from the back of my mind, this is something that I've been doing ever since I was, traveling to different dimensions. And what I understand is that not all of us has a reincarnated soul, but all of us has purpose.
Yes.
So for me, my most of my clients that I interacted with, I already met them before. I have this, I have evidences of numbers that correlated to me. I have memories that they have memories connected to my memories. So I know that things are all meant to happen. Even this now that we're talking, I
Yeah.
know this happened for a great reason.
Yeah.
I got entry. I don't respond to any emails that much, but when I saw your email, I I got hooked right away, and the interest came in, and I am happy that I'm part of this now.
Yes. I'm actually happy that you said yes too. 'Cause
Thank you.
it's great to it's yeah, it's inspiring how in tune and in touch you are with yourself. And even as a young child, even though your father was, I guess we'll say, disapproving,
Mm-hmm.
that you found ways because you knew it was part of who you are. You are meant to do this kind of work. And that says a lot too, because too many times, right, that when you have a calling, most of us will go for it, but then when we
Mm-hmm.
hit resistance, it's moving past that resistance
Yes.
to get through. And too many times people stop at the resistance, thinking that, because this is my favorite, that when they hit resistance, thinking that it's the universe telling me I'm on the wrong path.
No, not at all. Not at all. The more that I'm being challenged, the more that I'm becoming very aggressive, because I know everything has all its reasons why it's there. I just got this. I listen to myself. Maybe I had I already have this magic within me
Mhm.
that you don't need to teach me what I need to know. I just have to look at you, listen and observe, and I instantly get it. What's I've noticed about myself is that the more you teach me, the more that I'm not going to listen to you.
No.
I'll repel, back off, and just go back if I have to. I have this different kind of attitude about things. The more you're giving me challenge, the more that you're stopping me, the more that I'm going to get it. Discover myself,
Right.
discover you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Nice.
So I I've learned to understand other people that were totally different from each other. So I give them dose of advices and different from what I am. I can relate to them, just some few parts, but I can share with them at least the things that might help them. And what I'm very happy about is that within 20 years of you know well, let's say 70 years of just keeping it as a hobby, I have clients coming back, giving me great feedbacks of, they're telling me that my predictions for them, it's predictions. For me, it's not. It's just like me letting them know that, hey, you know what, there's this possible to happen. It's what you have to do. Now, if you're going to listen, it's going to really give you a great result. But if not, then you're going to have consequences. So that's how I advise. And since I'm doing this for 3 years now, every day, I I notice that I'm learning more. I'm understanding more of myself, understanding more people, and there's no stopping. It's like it's so infinite. This it's I couldn't see any barrier of me not um doing this in my entire life. I could even see myself being an old 85 years old still doing the same thing. and it's keeping me alive and happy. I couldn't imagine myself not doing any work a day. Sometimes when I'm sick, I would always still doing some research on my phone or laptop while in bed. I just have this very aggressive, intuitive me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it's helpful that you listen, right?
I do. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to teach people, especially when they're adult. When you're sharing information to them, and they're all grown ups. I've noticed that adults will listen, most of it, like a higher percentage will listen, but you have to give them the exact relatable experience. Like I have to give them examples
Mm.
for them to listen. Because if I won't give them that hit, like back in their mind, you're just giving me advice, you're just telling me stories, but I don't really understand what you're telling me.
Right.
I couldn't absorb it. And for me, they can absorb what I'm saying if I'll tell them a story that's almost the same thing that I had, or it's almost the same thing that other people had.
Right.
And that had been my formula, and it's very, very effective.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. So, what would you say was your biggest challenge since you were teaching yourself everything, right?
Okay, well, the biggest challenge was it was me, not other people.
Mm.
Because if other people stops me, or just like what I said, it challenges me and it's giving me more of a boost. But the problem is when I feel like I no longer want to do it, or like I'm tired, or I feel drained, or if I feel like really when I start to feel like I don't, is this really what I want to do? Or when at the time when I was still searching, when, especially when you're a teenager, I had this bumps of emotions that I know what I have this emptiness within me. And it was like a hole for a long time. So I never knew. I thought, if because here in the Philippines, when you're a teenager and you're in a high school class, a teacher would ask you, what would you like to do in the future? Would you like to be a policewoman, or would you like to be a teacher, like that? I couldn't answer them. I don't know what to do. I always think of, maybe I'm going to be a teacher, or no, I don't want to be a teacher because I hate teaching. I hate dealing with a lot of kids, or dealing with, I just want to interact. That's all I want. When I heard about psychology, because it sounds like psychic,
Yeah.
that's when I, like, okay, let me choose this one because it sounds like maybe they're teaching psychic there. So I, when I when I learned psychology, oh, it's totally different. They were against all of my ideas, my
Yeah.
thoughts, and oh, I had trouble with it. Actually, I was fighting not to absorb much of it because it will change my perspective, but I believe more of what I experienced than what I've learned from the books,
Yeah.
because they can teach me everything. But it excites me to understand the science-based class, or the science-based explanations. But if it doesn't hit me like the way I experienced it when I was growing up, no, I wouldn't believe it. I was
Yeah.
just, I will memorize it, and take an exam and just let it be. But I would I would always follow my intuition and my feeling, and use the method, the step-by-step procedure of understanding people and behavior, and that's it. But I will not go further than that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it though, um, since you believe that nothing is by accident, right? There was
Yep.
probably a past life that was just trying to give you just a little bit of information, but as a teenager, it came in as a whole bunch of hooey, so to speak,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Mhm. I agree. I
Because
agree.
because I do believe that everything that we go through is a lesson, right?
Mhm.
If we
Yep.
want to receive it or not, there's something, and it could be very minute, or it could be something very profound. But it's also a matter of if we're listening and have awareness.
Mhm. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm curious about how Americans, because here, as in our perspective, Americans are the best. Like, you're higher ranking, superior than us, and you are more intelligent than us. You're more understanding. But because um, I worked for 5 years in a call center for Americans, I've noticed something from dealing with them, that I've noticed that most Americans are more sensitive than us. I think we're more resilient. And so I've learned to empathize more
Yeah.
of how, Americans feel, because so most of the time they're screaming in our ears. They have
Yeah.
to shout and hate us without even me knowing.
Right.
So what I'm curious about is, um are there really a lot of Americans accepting beliefs like this, understanding conscious living, or are they really into discovering themselves, or most of them are like, "Oh, nope, I won't deal with it. I just keep my mouth shut or close my door and just leave it that way."
I think for here, there's a split, right? There's more
Mm-hmm.
people opening their arms to being more curious, allowing their curiosity, let's put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
allowing
Oh,
their
okay.
curiosity to actually move them into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I've noticed more mainly in the past 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
people are expanding more into it, right? Yoga's
Oh.
more mainstream, meditating's more mainstream.
Yep.
People are
Mm-hmm.
more curious about it, even though, and even mindfulness is becoming more mainstream. The funny thing is there's a lot of people that still don't understand mindfulness. They just think, oh, I'm mindfully picking up this cup. It's like, well, there's a little bit more to that than just
Very
mindful.
shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, slowly we're expanding over here.
that's good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the harder part, I've noticed with working with different clients is there's
Mm-hmm.
deep resistance in tapping into your emotions,
Oh, nice.
right? It's again,
Maybe
it's
that's
more like I said earlier, where it's like, I'm just going to label it anger. And it's like, well, there's more. And if you are
there's
willing,
deeper. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's where everybody kind of gets caught, right? Is there's a fear in the deeper. And when I ask them, well, what's the fear in the deeper? The answer is, I don't know. And it's like, well, when you swim in the ocean, you don't worry about if there's still sand underneath your feet. You're just swimming,
You're swimming. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same thing of when you're tapping into your emotions. It's kind of like swimming. Just take a stroke at a time, see where it leads you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
That's
for
what's
most people, they think the boogeyman's going to show up. And it's like, well, it's like when we're little kids. If you look in the closet, he's not there,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's the same with your emotions. Well, look, okay, it could be a boogeyman, but more than likely, it's something that you stuffed in the shadow that you created a boogeyman.
That's true. I agree with that. Um, Based on my experience, I it's me. I'm just really very deep, and I'm not afraid of any deep. I can just
Yeah.
I can go and fight. It's actually giving me an excitement to discover more. And if I feel bad, but it's no longer, oh, okay, it's dead end. I couldn't see anything. I wanna take some and
Dig.
digger tool. I want to dig deeper so I could explain to you what it means. Um, I think because of us, we have this we have this idea, we have this learning, we have this understanding, and I'm happy that we could try our best to we could reach out those people who are willing to listen. If even those people who doesn't want to listen, they will be able to have this curiosity, because we're now, just like what you said, it's expanding. And I'll be glad to be part of the pioneer, the people who are going to be there and we already know and they're just listening to us. That's part of me that excites a lot, the teaching, the learning.
Yeah.
um I also want to share that even if I'm providing advices, when give statements, when I open my mouth and say something, it also hits me. Like my own advices are my stress reliever. My own sessions gives me this balance that when I have to tell tell you something, when I have to give you an advice, I also have to follow the same advice that I'm giving.
Oh,
So it's
yes.
keeping me into. That's why you notice that I'm in tune, because it's always every day. It reminds me that, okay, you keep on telling them this is what you do, this is what you have to. They have to hear this. They have to follow these rules, or not even rules, or to keep their mind calm. Then do it. I have that mindset that, hey, do it yourself. Keep your mind at ease. Keep your mind clear. It's okay for you to be sad. That's fine. So that's how I do things, and that's the basic things that I could. And there's so many things that I would love to share, but it's gonna take us like hours.
Yeah.
So you can go on and ask me questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things over here for people is to learn how to quiet the noise, right? People, I don't know if it's the same in the Philippines, but there's many people that are addicted to their cell phones, right? They're on
Oh yeah.
social media, they're on their phone. You see people walking across traffic on their phone. It's like, right? It's like they're so connected to the technology
Yep.
that
True.
they forgot to get connected with themselves.
Hmm. Yep.
And
I feel guilty.
yeah,
I feel guilty most of the time. I'm using my phone because well, because I'm working using my phone.
right.
But how do I stop? And I stop because I have to rest. Oh, can I ask you? Is it what do you tell them to be calm, or to have some resets, or find time to meditate?
Well, I do tell people to find time to meditate. They normally are like, well, when's that time? Like for me,
Yep.
when
Hmm.
I finally really seriously started making it a daily practice, I realized that, and it's the same for me for working out, is
Hmm.
I have to do it before the house is awake.
Oh,
So
what do you mean by that?
I get up early. So
I see.
everybody's
Okay.
still in bed. So then I have my own quiet time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I can work out, I can do some breath work, I can do some meditation, and then the house wakes up. Then the day begins. And I discovered for me that that works best for me, where, some people can carve it out at the end of their day,
Yep. True.
right?
Hmm.
But I'm always telling people it's either going to happen in the beginning or it's going to happen at the end.
At the
Because
end. Yep.
try and find it in the middle when everybody
It,
else is around and awake and moving,
it's not gonna work, I
it's not
think.
going to work,
Hmm.
right? Because you're going to get interrupted.
Yes. Hmm.
So that's normally what I try and tell people. And the harder part for them is still, I think here we try to, well, we don't try, we beat ourselves up if we don't get it immediately, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to quiet my mind quiet. It didn't work. I'm
No,
broke.
it's not gonna work like that.
Right.
Hmm.
So,
Very interesting. Because most of the time I meditate or have some quiet time. Yeah, that's just like you. Since I have a very weird schedule, because most of my clients are of from the different parts of the world, and they have different schedules. I have to cope up with finding time with them. Even as of now, it's already like almost 12 midnight, but I have to be awake until certain like time until 3 a.m.
oh,
And
wow.
I got used to it. I'll stay awake until 4 or 5, and that's when I could meditate before I sleep. And then when I wake up, that's when I also meditate and sleep. I'll find time any of the moment that I could, so I could get on with my work. Um, and it helps me a lot that I just want to share with you too again. My mother is a pastor of a Christian congregation.
Oh,
So my fortune teller father and
wow.
my mother is a Christian. They both have this Bible with them. It's just that the other one is Catholic and the other one is Christian, but they always fight about it. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like me watching them, and what are they talking about? They're fighting, but they have the same faith. They're just arguing every day, but they got that molded me. I have this belief in my own ideas of faith and meditation and prayers and all of that, and I combine them and I keep a hold to it. Like that keeps me strong every day. And then I'm happy that just like what you mentioned earlier, that everything happens for a reason. It's just so ironic that I grew up in a very ironic family, and then that's, I think, also why I got into it very early and very maturely. It
Yeah.
was a gradual process. It took like 2 decades before I could be here with you talking right now like this.
Yeah. Do you ever find it hard when you're working with a client who believes they're opening to consciousness, but they're really not?
Stubborn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's very hard. What I do with them when I know that they're not really going to absorb what I'm telling them, I'll just listen. So I'll give them time to explain themselves, respect their moment. So I keep quiet and observe their gestures and statements. And all of the things that they're going to say, I'll pick up some words or statements and I'm going to use it to them.
Yeah.
I'll use them so that it will have an impact because they mentioned it. So I'm going to use their own what do you call that? I'm going to use their own gun
Oh,
to
yeah.
give them the beat, and then I I'm becoming very successful with it. It's hard because it's gonna take me like usually my clients would needs to stay with me for an hour, more than an hour, and sometimes those hard-headed people would take me like 2 or 3 hours, and I won't stop. Like I have to. It's like me. I'm trying to be a pressure cooker. I have to,
Mm.
you know, make sure that their bones are going to be at least absorb the nutrition that I'm giving them. But I give my time. I mean I give myself enough time to listen first, and then that's when I'm going to hit them with advices. And my best statement would be, it's okay if you're not going to listen to me, but I can guarantee you're going to come back,
Yeah.
and I'll prove you that I'm right.
Yeah.
That's gonna hit them, and then I'll wait for them. I might forget about them, but they're gonna come back for sure.
Yeah. That's
Their own
nice.
experience is going to teach them.
Yeah.
So that's what some basic techniques that I do. Um, I'm curious, how did you start this? I mean, when did you start? Just like you asked me, how did you know that you have this? I can teach people doing this conscious living.
So how did I get into it?
Yes. Yep.
Well, turns out I probably have been doing it the majority of my life. I didn't actually realize that that's what I was doing because
Mm-hmm.
it was so natural, right? I just figured I was being me. And
That's right.
and it's been kind of eye-opening because once I officially decided to step more into it, to walk away from
Mm-hmm.
corporate, I've had a lot of people from my past that
Mm-hmm.
some of them I haven't spoken to in like 20 to 30 years
Oh, wow.
have shown back up. And then I share what I'm up to, and they're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, because when we were this old, you shared blah 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 with me, and I still use that today. And I'm like, I did? Cool.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah.
And then of course I'm sitting there going, what did I say? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to remember. That's one thing for me, is my memory is not that strong. So I've
Mm,
had like 4 concussions. I'm pretty sure that it's kind of tapped into probably my memory side of my brain. So
yeah, possible.
yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's when I at my last corporate job, I started having more
Mm.
people come to me, and it was more than normal. And it was like, okay, what's happening? And I kind of got quiet with it. And then all of a sudden just got this very strong feeling of now, now's the time to go. Cause I always kept sitting there thinking to myself, there's more. I have more than what I'm currently doing, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
Oh wow, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
That's almost the same thing that I had in my when before I had this moment that getting a lot of views, videos going viral, live that have thousands of people watching me. It's like
Mhm.
how what's happening? I just started this like because it's pandemic that time, the COVID is keeping us all inside the house, and I
Right.
don't know what to do. I got bored, so I went to this thing. But that's when I realized that everything happens really for a reason, because you a year before pandemic, I was already imagining myself sitting in my chair with a table with a laptop with clients and all. I already have those visions, but I really don't know what I'm doing. I thought I'm going to teach English. I thought I'm going to be a virtual assistant. I thought I'm going to be like someone doing um administrative work at home and something like that.
Yeah.
So I tried to find ways and learn some. Oh, actually, I had so many courses before I realized that it's just my hobby that's going to put me there. So I really understand the thing that you explained about how we came into this moment that we're talking now. Do you have any other questions? Any other?
Well, I'm watching the time, so I want to be honorable of your time. And so I was just curious, do you have like a training or something that you would like to walk our listeners through right now that they could put into practice?
Mhm. Oh
Okay.
yeah, definitely. What I strongly suggest with all of you guys is that um early in the morning, the best way is to sleep at least 6 hours. Oh my word, that's the most important thing in my life right now, because I never gave importance of sleeping. I always sleep like since when I was young, 2 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. It's not nice. So you have to sleep. That's very practical. You have to at least sleep 6 to 8 hours, because that helps us to reset our brain, helps us healthier. And once you sleep and wakes up in early in the morning or whatever time you wake up, is to make sure to breathing exercise for me is really very helpful. um at least 10 times of breathing, or 8 or whatever, but as long as it's within 2 minutes, releasing the negative energies that you had from after the past few days, and calming yourself up will help you gain that good vibes, the good energies around you, and release the bad energies as well. Then you pray, whenever, whatever religion you have or whatever belief you have to be in tune with the moment for 2 3 minutes, and after that, um you can go out for a walk, for just a little movement will help as well. Like I do it like 2 3 minutes. I give my time enough moment for within 30 minutes before doing some few exercise, like, because I'm very very lazy when exercising, so I'm more of the meditative person. So I always do that early in the morning, or if not, if you're totally busy that you have to run out for a job, you have to do it before sleep time. You have to breathe and relax your mind. Um, I have this belief that our deep breaths or the way how we breathe is from our infinite power, the one who created us. I have this moment that he's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the one who created us, and he's inside our body. And once you accept him and release all those tensions that you created for yourself, he's helping you to gain that energy for the whole day moving forward. So that keeps me going, and I'm sometimes guilty that I forget them because of my busy schedule. But I always make sure that at least majority of the week I do it and share it with some people. I also have this pattern of prayers. Like the first thing that I would always remember to pray is to be thankful of all the things that you're receiving every day, the resources, the air, the food, the job that you have. If you don't have a job, you still have to be very thankful of everything that you're getting, and the moment that you wake up, you have to be grateful about that. So I have to be thankful. Then the next one, the next step of my prayers is to ask for forgiveness for those forgiveness about what you did, or the things that you missed out from the people and for the universe. And then the last one is to ask for whatever you want, whatever you have. I believe that we already have everything. We just have to communicate it with the universe and ask them, this is what I want. This is what I want to get, and I know that you're gonna give it to me.
Yeah.
That's how I do my prayers, and that's going to give me a whole day of positivity. And even if it's very negative, that my clients are sharing a lot of negativities or bad vibes, I the moment that I pause and remind myself, that's fine. You're okay. There's nothing wrong of being sad. There's nothing wrong of receiving the bad mouth from your boss, or the curse that you got from your mother. Or it's okay that you broke up with your boyfriend. It's okay that they cheated on you. That's how positive I am. And they would be like, how, what do you mean? Are you, the here in the Philippines, if you're going to tell them that that's fine, they would tell you, how would I be okay with I'm sad? It's okay, you're sad, because we're just human beings, and you have to just accept. It's easier to accept. If not, that's okay. You don't need to do it now. Maybe in the next few days or a few hours, or maybe in the next few months, if you remember me. If not, I know that you will come back and ask me for it.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. So the meditation, the breathing exercise, the movement for a few minutes, and the prayer that I do, that's what I want to share with you, because it's free. You don't need to pay for that prayer. You don't need to pay for the meditation. You don't need to pay for that breathing, but it's very powerful. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with everybody. And
you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
You're right. It's like sometimes the biggest rewards that we have live within us.
Exactly. That's right.
So, well, thank you so much for your time, Amethyst. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and speaking with you. And I'm sure
I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. I'm sure you sparked a lot of inspiration in everybody that's listening. So thank you.
I'm happy. Thank you so much again. And you can also, can I ask them to
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You can check my page, my Facebook page, Amethyst Intuitive Psychic, or my TikTok account if you have a TikTok account, Amethyst Intuitive Psychic as well, and the YouTube channel, Amethyst Amber Intuitive Psychic. Thank you.